You are not always stuck because you are weak. Sometimes you are stuck because your brain is handing you the feeling of progress before you have actually done anything. That sounds insane, but it happens all the time. You make the plan, you watch the video, you save the note, you tell yourself, I'm on it now. And for a few minutes, your body calms down like the future has already started. That little relief is the trap. Your mind gets a reward for thinking about change, so it stops pushing for the ugly part, action. So the first brutal truth is this. Your brain can fake a win so well that you mistake it for momentum. It gives you the mood of progress without the cost of progress. No risk, no failure, no proof. Just enough comfort to keep you where you are. And that is why so many people feel busy while their life stays the same. The mind loves a polished illusion. Reality, on the other hand, always asks for receipts. Truth 1. Waiting can feel like winning. That is not discipline. That is your brain giving you a tiny dopamine payoff for intentions, not outcomes. It is why tomorrow feels so clean. Tomorrow asks nothing from you yet, so your mind treats it like free progress. A guy sits in his car outside the gym for 15 minutes, hyping himself up, thinking he is getting ready. He drives home, weirdly drained. Nothing happened, but his brain still treated the rehearsal like work. That is the cheat. Truth 2. Embarrassment hits your nervous system like a threat. That is why one awkward moment can live in your head for days. Most people think they are just overthinking. What is actually happening is your brain tagging a social mistake like a warning. A student answers a question in class and gets it wrong. Nobody even reacts much. The teacher just moves on. But later, that student keeps replaying the exact second their voice cracked. On the outside, it was nothing. On the inside, their body treated it like a near miss. That is the weird part. Your mind can turn a 5-second moment into a 3-day bruise. Truth 3. Memory is not a recording. It is a rewrite. Every time you remember something painful, your brain rebuilds it. It does not pull up a perfect video. It edits the scene to fit the story you already believe. That is why people say things like, I always mess things up, even when the full truth is messier. Their brain keeps trimming out the moments that do not match the label. The one bad date becomes I'm bad at relationships. The one awkward talk becomes I can't speak up. After enough repeats, the memory stops feeling like history and starts feeling like identity. So the past is not fixed in your head. It gets updated every time you revisit it. Truth 4. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar freedom. People hate hearing that because it sounds passive, but your brain is not asking what is best. It is asking what is predictable. A woman stays in a tiny flat with a broken heater and thin walls because the chaos is known. She complains about it every week, yet the idea of moving feels heavier than the noise, the cold, and the stress. Why? Because the brain trusts the pain it knows. Unknown change feels like danger, even when it could be better. That is the ugly joke. Sometimes people are not choosing suffering, they are choosing certainty. Truth 5. Your standards are trained by what you tolerate. Not by what you post, not by what you say you deserve, by what you let happen again and again. Every time you accept a half-hearted apology, ignore a red flag, or stay silent when something feels off, your brain writes down a new rule. It learns what you will allow. Then slowly that becomes normal. First it is a bad day, then it is a pattern. Then one day you catch yourself saying, this is just how things are. That is how people shrink without noticing, not through one huge betrayal, through tiny permissions. And the next truth: ChatGPT can make mistakes. Check important info is where the mask starts slipping, because now it is not about what happened to you. It is about the story you keep repeating to survive it. Truth 6. Most excuses are just identity protection in disguise. When someone says, I'm just not a confident person, that can sound like honesty. But sometimes it is a shield, because if confidence is a trait, then they never have to test it. If they never test it, they never have to risk being wrong about themselves. That is why labels are so sticky. I'm shy. I'm bad with money. I always quit. I'm not the kind of person who speaks up. Those lines can start as temporary descriptions. Then the brain repeats them until they feel like a file stamped permanent. Here is the brutal bit. Sometimes staying attached to a bad identity feels safer than becoming someone new. Because growth asks a horrible question. What if you were never limited, just practiced at staying the same? That question lands hard because it takes away the excuse and leaves the choice. Truth 7. Your brain is not mainly trying to tell the truth. It is trying to predict what comes next. That is the final twist, and it changes everything. Before you speak, your brain predicts rejection. Before you start, it predicts failure. Before you care, it predicts disappointment. Before you change, it predicts loss. So a huge part of your life is not happening in real time. It is happening in advance, inside a prediction machine that would rather be right than be free. And here is the mind-blowing part. Your brain does not simply react to the world. It guesses the world first, then checks if reality matches the guess. That means you are often not living in the room in front of you. You are living inside the brain's draft of the room. That is why two people can stand in the exact same place and feel two completely different lives. One sees danger, one sees opportunity. Same room, different prediction. So the final brutal truth is this. The life you keep repeating is not always the life you chose. Sometimes it is the life your brain learned to expect. And once you see that, you stop blaming yourself for every feeling and start challenging the predictions that built them.